Deaths in Glenmorach Manor, a fiction novel. Written by Shirley, read by Sir Lawrence Olivier. This audiobook was narrated using synthetic voice technology provided by 11 Labs. Chapter 12. The next day in the evening, I sat across from Miss Emily Scott, watching her closely. The dim room was silent except for the occasional creak of my chair. On the table in front of her lay the crumpled letter I had found in Benjamin's study. Its contents incriminating. Emily Scott, Benjamin's personal assistant and accountant to the Wallace family business. Her pale hands trembling, clutched her handbag tightly in her lap. Her face, usually composed, was now flushed with worry. She kept her gaze lowered, her eyes fixed on the letter that I had placed between them, its ominous words practically jumping off the page. I broke the silence, my voice calm but firm. "Miss Scott, I assume you know why I called you." She met my eyes. "You think I killed him?" I spoke to her. "I think you had a motive." She didn't deny it. "Miss Scott, I found this letter in Mr. Benjamin's study. I'm sure you recognize it. Care to explain?" Emily's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes flickered briefly to the letter, but then quickly darted away. I suppose this unfinished letter was written by Mr. Benjamin. Seemed like it was addressed to me," she stammered, her voice betraying her anxiety. I pushed the letter closer toward her, my gaze narrowing. "This letter says you've done something that Benjamin knew about, and he was using it against you, threatening to report you to the police. Now, I need you to be truthful with me. Was Benjamin blackmailing you? I want you to tell me everything." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, but she quickly blinked them away, afraid of showing weakness. She took a shaky breath before slowly, hesitantly speaking. "Yes, sir, he was blackmailing me. But it's not what you think, Mr. Owen." "How long had that been going on?" I asked her. She glanced towards the fire, and back at me. 3 months, maybe a little more, since he caught me adjusting one of the quarterly ledgers. I asked her, why? She spoke to me with teary eyes. "I needed the money. My father, he's been in and out of hospital since the spring. The doctors in Ayrshire were insufficient. London offered better hope, but that hope comes with invoices. I took some from the Wallace business account, but I promised to myself I'd repay it, and I really meant to." I asked her again. "Then Benjamin found out?" She spoke through gritted teeth now. "Yes. He said he wouldn't go to his father if I did what he asked." I curiously asked her, which was... He'd been hiding something from his father. He had a huge debt. Mr. Benjamin became entangled in a web of debts and was dealing with dangerous people from London. He had borrowed more than he could repay, Mr. Owen, she explained. Then she continued, "He asked me to manipulate the financial reports so that Lord Wallace would never learn the true figures of the Wallace business. He wanted me to conceal over £50,000 of company funds, making it appear as if the money had been circulated through investments and financing, or else he'd make sure my little mistake reached Lord Wallace's ears." I asked Emily again. I want to know how her reaction to Benjamin's threat. "Then what did you say to him?" She answered me, "I told him that amount is way too big to cover, that'll need to move around the funds a little more, and without Lord Wallace's approval. I'm not sure it was even possible, sir." I asked her again, "Then what did Benjamin say about it?" Her voice was trembling. A wave of panic swept over her. She knew what was at stake now. "He told me to use everything in my power and do whatever I could." I raised an eyebrow. This truth could destroy them both, but Benjamin held all the cards. "So finally you agreed. Were you doing it willingly? And for how long?" Emily started to cry. "He said I have to keep lying. He wanted me to keep lying for as long as it takes if I want to keep my job and, most importantly, my freedom." Emily was sobbing. "I did it to survive, Mr. Owen. If I had refused, he would have exposed me. I would have lost my job and likely been imprisoned. And more than that, my father's medical treatment would have come to an immediate end." Curiously, I asked her again, Why didn't you go to Lord Wallace?" She let out a short, bitter laugh. "Lord Wallace? He would have had me jailed before I finished talking. Benjamin knew that. He was his father's pride, and I was just a disposable servant." I let that settle in the room. My brow furrowed, but I remained silent, waiting for her to continue. Emily's hands tightened around her bag, her knuckles white. She swallowed hard before speaking again, her voice barely above a whisper. I was willing to pay off my debt in installments. I even agreed to work unpaid until my debt paid off. But he said I didn't have to worry about it as long as I kept doing whatever he told me. Manipulating the financial reports. He had me under his thumb. He said if I didn't comply, he'd go straight to his father, and that would be the end of me. She cried, and this time she didn't try to hold back. So that it was. Benjamin found out that Emily had been taking money from the Wallace business accounts. In her desperation, he threatened to tell Lord Wallace if she refused to do what he demanded, making sure he would ruin her life. He was using that poor woman to conceal his huge debt and his shady business dealings with dangerous people. He made her forge documents, manipulating the financial reports in ways that she could no longer conceal for long. Anything to cover up Benjamin's mistakes. He knew about her secret, and he knew exactly how to use it against her. But the more I thought about it, I believed the problem was bigger than a few falsified reports. If Lord Wallace ever found out what Benjamin had done, he would never forgive him. He'd be disowned, cast aside, and left to face the consequences of his actions. And the worst part, his father was growing increasingly ill, and Benjamin was supposed to take over the estate soon. The thought that because of his fatal mistake, his father would give his inheritance and status to his younger brother, Robert, instead of him, caused Benjamin to feel extremely anxious and terrified. It was too much to bear. But now, with Emily's admission, Benjamin saw an opportunity to salvage what was left of his carefully constructed life. She had become an unfortunate ally in his dark world, whether she liked it or not. Emily could never go to Lord Wallace about what Benjamin had done. If she did, she would lose everything, her career, her reputation, and perhaps even her freedom. The Wallace name was a powerful thing, and her connection to it had always been tenuous at best. If Benjamin exposed her, if he made her the scapegoat for his own mistakes, she would never recover. She would be cast out into the streets, and her entire life would be over. She had no way out, no escape. She had trapped herself in a web of lies and manipulation, and now there was no turning back. I leaned forward, my voice cutting through the silence. "Miss Scott, when he was found dead, why didn't you come forward and report everything to me? That makes me have to ask you this question. Did you kill Mr. Benjamin Wallace to release yourself, he blackmailing you?" "For heaven's sake, no. I didn't kill him, I swear. I'm not even capable of killing a mouse, sir. I would faint just by the sight of blood. I swear, Mr. Owen, I am not guilty of the murder." Emily started to cry. I could see how vulnerable she was. Emily's lips quivered. I didn't know what to do. When I found out Mr. Benjamin was dead, I was terrified. I really wanted to tell you everything about the blackmail and the possibility of him having enemies because of that huge debt he was in. But the voice inside my head kept telling me not to do that. What if people thought I did it? What if Lord Wallace found out? I had no choice but to keep quiet, to pretend like I had nothing to do with it. My gaze softened just a fraction. "Miss Scott, do you know if Mr. Benjamin had some enemies? Do you know with whom he was dealing?" I don't know, sir. Honestly, Mr. Benjamin never told me who he was dealing with. He was careful, too careful. All I did was adjust the numbers in the reports and conceal the money. Where it went, I never asked. Emily hesitated, but then, as if the weight of the truth was finally too much to bear, she nodded. "I swear I never meant for any of this to happen, but I'm not the only one who had something to hide. Mr. Benjamin wasn't who he seemed to be. He was involved in some dangerous business, Mr. Owen." My eyes sharpened. What kind of business? Emily took a deep breath and lowered her voice even further. I overheard Benjamin speaking to someone who wasn't supposed to be at the estate. They were arguing about something. There was talk about black market trading, but I didn't dare to ask questions. I was afraid that if I knew too much, I would be next. I leaned back, my mind racing as I pieced together the fragments of the story she had just revealed. So, Benjamin had his secrets, and you were caught in the web of them. But who else in the Wallace family was involved in his dirty business? Emily shook her head, her fear still evident. I don't know. I never suspected anyone else from the Wallace family was involved in his business. I studied her for a moment longer, then slowly stood up. Thank you, Miss Scott. I need to inform you that due to Benjamin's involvement with those individuals from London, I'm obligated to report this to Lord Wallace. There is a possibility that those people are responsible for Mr. Benjamin's death, and they are now considered suspect. To proceed, I require Lord Wallace's approval to review the financial records, so I can trace the inflows and outflows from the business account. This will allow me to identify anyone Benjamin had been involved with. The truth tends to come to light eventually, and it's only a matter of time before it's revealed. I strongly advise you to share everything you know. Withholding information will not help. Remember, concealing a crime is a serious offense. Please cooperate with both myself and the authorities so we can manage this matter from here. Emily nodded, too frightened to speak. As I left the room, she was left alone with her thoughts, her guilt, her fear, and the dreadful knowledge that she may never escape the shadow of Benjamin's secrets.